let's make a deal. Promise me that if you make it to the end of this video, you will take 30 seconds and consider going to sleep. If it's past 10:30 p.m., wherever you are, and you have nothing urgent that needs to get done tonight, and you end up being one of the 33% of people that actually watches all these videos to the finish, if you fit all of those criteria, promise me that when you get to the end, you will take 30 seconds and genuinely stop to consider whether or not you can go to sleep at that very moment. Deal? Good. Thank you. Because you really need it. Go to sleep, man. According to the CDC, 57.8% of middle schoolers and 72.7% of high schoolers do not get sufficient sleep in a night. That statistic is from 2015. Before the invention of TikTok. You can only imagine it's gotten worse. And according to the NIH, we should be viewing sleep as essential to life as food and water. And if somebody told you that they had been working so hard they forgot to drink water or eat food in the past 2 days, would you congratulate them for their work ethic? No! You would probably call someone about that. My hope is that this video will help us to learn some valuable lessons about the importance of sleep, and so we can drastically improve our collective health. Of course, we still need to work on the fact that we don't eat vegetables, we don't get more than 30 minutes of sunlight daily, we ingest enough caffeine in the morning to kill a small dog, and many of us consider water to be optional, but one problem at a time. We'll work it out. Hey, before we begin, I just want to make it clear, this is a lot harder to explain as a concept than I thought it would be. There are so many big words in all of those papers. This is going to be a very dumbed down explanation of it. You ready? Here we go. You might assume that when you go to bed, your body just kind of turns off for the night, but as sleep science has improved throughout the decades, it's become apparent that that's simply not the case. In fact, there are so many processes that go on before, during, and after sleep that, in my uneducated opinion, it seems far less like 8 hours of dead air and more like a symphony. Let's start from the beginning. Every good song needs a rhythm. Our circadian rhythm is our body's way of keeping track of which processes should happen at certain times throughout the day. It does this using our body's master biological clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. See, I told you there was a lot of big words in this. The SCN runs on a roughly 24-hour cycle, and because of this, our circadian rhythms can regulate certain daily processes, such as body temperature, hunger, hormones, and of course, tiredness. Now, using cells in your retina, your brain can roughly tell how bright and dark it is outside. And so that when it gets darker, the pineal gland in the brain can now release the sleep hormone, melatonin. Now, functioning as a sleep hormone, it has a number of reported behavioral effects that include, but are not limited to, decreased motoric activity and, quote, decreased defecation. Nice. It's typically released in high amounts during the night and in low amounts during the day so that you can go to sleep and stay asleep all night long, keeping things in rhythm. Something else our song needs is a crescendo. When a song builds up to something, it's satisfying. When it comes to sleep, we wake up feeling refreshed so we can go and do stuff. And as we do stuff throughout the day, the cells throughout our body are at work, and the more they work, the more they release a chemical byproduct called adenosine. Adenosine then binds to receptors in your brain, and when this binding takes place, you start to feel more drowsy and nerve cell activity starts to slow down. And as you do more stuff throughout the day, your cells create more and more adenosine. They then bind with more receptors in your brain, making you tired and tired and tired throughout the day until the evening comes and you're at your sleepiest. This is called sleep drive, and combined with the melatonin we just talked about, these two things make sure you clock out every night. And similar to how music is good for the soul, sleep is good for the soul. Brain, heart, lung, liver, literally everything. Whether it's metabolism, immune response, mood, or disease resistance, sleep impacts nearly every muscle, organ, and process that takes place inside your body. You know how every so often you Google, how do I lose weight or why do I feel so bad? And then you click an article and one of the bullet points that it says is try to get more sleep, and you're like, nah, I'm not gonna do that, I'll just skip that one. Hey, stop doing that! Go to sleep! There's much more to be said, but at its core, processes associated with sleep keep rhythm, builds a crescendo, and refreshes the body, and for these reasons can be called a masterpiece. A beautiful, harmonious system. And now, for the duration of our time, let's consider all the ways in which you ruined that beautiful system. You're so bad at it. If you've been watching me for any amount of time, you may have noticed that I'm rather hesitant to completely advocate or completely denounce anything, because I think it's only fair to leave a little bit of room for benefit of the doubt and nuance, because nearly nothing is as cut and dry as it's presented to be in the world. There's probably something about it that's not right or that is good. You gotta give it that chance. And this is especially true when it comes to anything medical or health related online. I hate when people try to advocate something as the one thing you never thought of. Doctors hate it. This is gonna cure every problem in your life. Because it's almost 100% a scam, there's nothing that can cure all, and there's no medicine that can take full effect after a single day. Now, with all of that in mind, and all the sleep hacks and suggestions and tips I saw in researching this video, I thought I'd put it to use and see if there was any perceptible change in how I operated throughout the day. Which is why I find it so frustrating that after just one night of good sleep, I must admit, this will entirely fix your life. I truly did not want it to be as effective as possible. I wanted to come out here and say that sleep doesn't really matter. Oh my gosh, it matters so much. I had not felt that good in a long time. I went to sleep, there was no device near me. I went to sleep and stayed asleep for 7 to 8 hours on the dot. I woke up, got some sunlight, went to school and worked for 11 hours, and I was studying and retaining information. I did all of that. And to add to it, I didn't hate myself the entire day. That's insane. Life was good. Go get some sleep. That stuff really works. You could rightfully assume that the very next night I would try and do everything in my power to replicate all those good effects that I saw firsthand that comes with a good night's sleep. You would rightfully assume that. That is not what happened, but it's a really good guess on your part. No, instead, I decided I was going to procrastinate by watching YouTube Shorts because I had deleted TikTok and convinced myself that that was gonna fix my scrolling problem, but instead I spent all of my time on an arguably worse platform. And because I procrastinated, that means I had to do my homework, chores, and all other things a little bit later than I planned to do them, which means I got to bed later than I planned to, but hey, none of that matters because earlier that day, I had just remembered I went to the gym and had a lot of coffee before that. Side note, did you know that a tablespoon of instant coffee is actually 3 servings and it takes more than 12 hours to completely leave your system? You learn something new every day. So we know it's good for us, but we still don't want to do it. Why? Well, based on my personal experience, I've got 3 major reasons. I remember last semester when sleep was more of an extracurricular activity. I was taking 6 classes. One of them was mandatory attendance at 8 a.m. There was a 30-minute car ride I had to get to campus, and there was a 20-minute walk in between classes. I know what you're thinking. No, that schedule doesn't make any sense. You're right. I didn't even shower most mornings. Do you think I got a normal amount of sleep? I don't know why one would assume that, but in the end, I was only hurting myself. Sleep is a necessary part of learning. If you don't have it, you simply cannot retain information as well. It's been observed in scientific studies that if you take naps while studying, it's less of a pause button and it's more of a save button. You're able to retain more, focus better, and therefore grasp new concepts. When you are sleep deprived, you cannot remember things, you cannot stay focused, your attention span is limited, you cannot do assignments for as long as you previously could, study sessions will be less effective, your grades can drop, and you will altogether just perform worse as a student. Despite all of that, I was still convinced that if I could just brute force it enough, it'll all work out. And sure, I guess in the grand scheme of things, you could consider not flunking out and not dying a success, but I think we should be aiming for a little bit higher than that. Good sleep requires that you put hours of planning into it. You have to make sure by the time that you're in bed that there's no caffeine in your system. You have to make sure that you've worked fast enough throughout the day so that you don't have any tasks that need to get done when it's bedtime, which means that you can't procrastinate throughout the day. But also you should be taking breaks throughout the day because again, if you get too tired, you'll then be less productive. If you're less productive, then you'll still have things left to do at the end of the day. And then when you have things to do at the end of the day, you won't go to sleep on time. In addition to that, you probably shouldn't eat too late. It would also probably be helpful to have a sleep routine. You should also maybe put your stuff like your clothes and other supplies out the night before so that when you wake up, you can just get them and go. This is a lot of planning to sit on a rectangle and do nothing for 8 hours. So no thank you. I'll just wing it. And it'll be bad, but I'll do it every night for a semester. I will. Do you know how annoying it is to have to stop everything I'm doing so I can go sit down on a square for 8 hours, and if we're being more realistic, it's more like 5 hours and 45 minutes? It's very annoying. But also, if we're being honest, how productive are you past like 11 o'clock? I understand there are night owls out there, but for everybody else, let's be honest, besides you taking your breaks to go on TikTok and Instagram Reels and scroll for like an hour, take that out. What are you actually doing? Even when you're actually doing the work, it's not good quality. You don't remember anything you're doing. It's all lackluster. Why is that? Because you forced a sleep-deprived person to do it. It's not gonna be good. So There was this great thing I used to do in high school. It was called hating myself, and I was really good at it. I mean, I would scroll on social media for a minimum of 4 hours a day. I didn't make friends. I would eat my feelings, and I gained a bunch of weight. I was truly dedicated to this craft. This relates to everything that we're saying because I would also do this thing where I wouldn't go to sleep because, okay, here's the thought process. If I go to sleep, sleep is a time machine that takes me from right now to tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning is where all the things that stress me out take place, like school and other stuff. But if I stay awake, that means I have 8 hours until the morning. I think you know where we're going with this. So if I stayed up, I would still technically have some time until tomorrow had to start. And even on days where I was very tired and I needed to go to sleep, I would still go to sleep but set an alarm at like 4 a.m. so that I could wake up and at least have from 4 a.m. until class started at 8 a.m. Now, I didn't know this was a thing, but it is, and it's called revenge sleep procrastination. You may do it on a day where you feel like you had so much work that you didn't have any time for yourself, and if you go to sleep now, that means you'll have to wake up and go to work. But if you stay up a little bit longer, you can watch your shows and feel like you have a little bit of me time. It all falls in that same bubble. It's procrastinating on sleep because you want more time. I have always found this interesting. I see this in myself too, so this is an us thing. Why is it that we as people, sometimes we prefer for something to look like it's working more than we prefer for it to actually work? For example, did you know that the bubbles in soap do almost nothing? Soap does not need to have suds in order to work. It's not the bubbles that are doing it. It's something called surfactants. But if a soap doesn't have suds, people will think that the soap is not cleaning anything, and then they'll get mad at the soap people, but it's doing its job. It's still soap. And this can apply to anything. When you have weight loss, people start taking supplements and start eating fruits whose names they can barely pronounce. Or when people are super worried about their appearance and wrinkles, they'll start buying really expensive creams because all of those dollar signs have to be doing something, right? But when it comes to our health, one of the most important things we can do for ourselves also seems to be the most nothing thing there is: sitting around for 8 hours. But again, it's not nothing. Sleep is a symphony. Remember that really good analogy I made a few minutes ago? Yeah, it's that. Yeah, I remember. It was pretty good. Oh, thank you. But David, this whole sleep thing, where am I supposed to do it? Well, I don't know. I mean, most people just have beds that they sleep on. Yeah, I'm not stupid. I have a bed frame. I've tried sleeping on it, but frankly, it's not very relaxing. Well, yeah, but you're supposed to sleep on the mattress on top of the frame. Do you not own a mattress? I'm not familiar with that term. This video is brought to you by Helix. Hi, I'm David Achu. You know, after a long day of doing whatever this job is, I like to take a load off and lay down in a comfy mattress, which, despite what many of you seem to think, is in my bedroom. I don't live in this basement. I have a bedroom with windows and a proper bed frame. And now thanks to Helix, I have a pretty mattress to put on top of it. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think I was adult enough to pick out my own mattress. Like, no. That's like paying taxes. I don't have to do that. I'm just a boy. A 20-year-old tax-owing boy. But my last mattress was purchased for me by my mother when I was in elementary school. It was time to say goodbye. But Helix made the process very simple because all I had to do was fill out a sleep quiz and tell it a little bit about how I like to sleep and what I prefer in a mattress, and it picked one out for me. I was matched with the Helix Midnight. I got the Luxe Edition, and I picked a twin size because it's cute. Like me. And then it arrived in a box, and I took it out of the box and set it up. And honestly, it was easier than I thought it would be. I really do like the way they had me do it because I feel like the sleep quiz was really useful in understanding what I like when I sleep, and it matched me with something that fulfills that. Like again, with my old mattress, my mother didn't ask me whether I liked a medium firmness or whether I slept on my back and on my side or whether I kind of sweat during the night a little bit and so I wanted a mattress cooler. She didn't know those things. But Helix did. It learned all those things about me. And now I have this. And with 20 unique mattresses built for all types of sizes and ages and sleep preferences, Helix has the mattress for you. To be totally clear, I picked the video topic before Helix reached out to me, and I'm really glad that worked out because with all the things I've researched in making this, I'm glad I can apply it with this mattress. It's really nice. So, do you get it now? Oh, now I get it. A mattress goes on top of the bed frame. Of course. Yeah, exactly. You got it. And if viewers go to helixsleep.com/DavidAchu or use the link in the description, they can get 20% off site-wide. Yeah, that's right. Again, that's helixsleep.com/DavidAchu for 20% off. Yeah, I don't know why you said it again, but yeah. Thanks, David. No problem, guy number one. You can tell we're two different people because I'm wearing a hat. Astute observation. Given everything we've discussed so far, all of these factors and others blend together and manifest themselves in what I think is the biggest barrier to sleep for the average person. There's this association that society has that a normal, healthy amount of sleep is somehow a sign of laziness, and that choosing to forego sleep is a sign of strong work ethic. We should not be bragging about how much sleep we did not get. That's the equivalent of bragging about how long it's been since you've had water. Do you know how weird that sounds? You sound crazy. For example, in an interview, Thomas Edison once said that he thought sleep was a waste of time and that he personally aims to sleep for no more than 4 hours a night. Now, in addition to this, he was also a heavy cigar smoker and he had an unhealthy diet. He was doing everything a healthy person should not be doing. He lived to be 84 years old. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. That man should not have been able to live that long. I'm still arguing that sleep is necessary for our health, but I'm not gonna lie, I think Edison won this round. I guess I'm the only one brave enough to say this on the internet, but I'll go ahead and do it. Corporate society is probably not super great. Yeah, I said it. You can clap now. Yeah, I know what the title of my last video was. It was a joke, all right? Don't shoot me! From what I've heard, in the working world, signs of workaholism are not treated as though a person has a disease. Instead, they're congratulated, promoted, and heralded as a team player. According to the Harvard Business Review, nearly half of Americans do not use up all of their allotted vacation days by the end of a year. I worked in an office once. I can't imagine why a person would do that to themselves. But the same article goes on to describe how people almost prefer to be overwhelmed as opposed to being underwhelmed, because if they're getting things done, work can serve as a means to rate oneself. Now, this point I do understand, because when you have low self-esteem, having work done and accomplishments to your name is one of the only definite markers you have to prove that you are not a worthless human being. Like, sure, I'm pretty sure everyone around me hates me and I'm doing nothing to advance the greater good of society, but I did just turn something into canvas and got some virtual confetti. So I must be doing something right. But what happens when we don't have our accomplishments? My accomplishments are proof that I'm good at something. Nobody can say I'm bad because look at the thing I just did. But yeah, imagine that you didn't have the thing. If you didn't, would you starve to death? No, but I'd be average, and that may be worse. Why are we talking about this? Because our view of work and accomplishments and how we need to be better than average has a direct impact on how we view sleep. If your prime goal is to outwork everybody you see and also just be the best at everything, then you're going to take advantage of every second of time you have, and you may start to view sleep as a barrier to success. I could finish my work just a little bit faster if I stayed up just a little bit longer. You start to see sleep not as an aid to your health, but as an enemy to your progress. And if I'm being honest, even right now, that's where I am. Not technically right now, like, okay, here's a blurb. I wrote this, when did I write this? 4 p.m. March 10th. It says, the channel's latest analytics are kind of doing bad, and I really want to hurry up and finish this video so there can be a big bump in the analytics, you know, so the channel can do better. And, but if I'm actually going to do that, I can't do what I'm saying in this video, and that means going to sleep and putting work away on time. There's simply no time. I have to work on it slowly and incrementally over the course of the bare minimum the next week or so. It's gonna take a few days, and the analytics are only gonna get worse within that time frame, and I just have to be okay with that. There's nothing I can do. Basically, I either have to rush this video, not get sleep, and work through the night so I can get it out and bump up the analytics, or just be patient, watch them fall, and get this video out later. I am sad to report that I did not get to bed on time that night, and I slept horribly. Just couldn't finish in time. Maybe you're hearing all of this and you're thinking, hey, I don't really care. I'll tough it out. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Hey, that may be sooner than you think. According to the World Health Organization, long working hours led to 745,000 deaths in 2016. Mainly from strokes, and I should have practiced pronouncing that earlier, ischemic heart disease. I'm assuming that's how you say it. When looking at those who worked an average of 55 hours or more during the week, compared to the more common average of 35 to 40 hours in a work week, they reported there was a 35% higher chance of stroke and a 17% higher chance of heart disease. It's literally deadlier to work more hours. I'm gonna be honest, call me ignorant if you want, I know what I am. Work addiction, didn't realize that was like a real thing. I thought it was more of like a tongue-in-cheek exaggeration in 99% of cases, but no, it's a disease and it kills people. Now, I found this really interesting article from The Guardian where it was talking about some interesting perspectives of recovering work addicts, and frankly, It's sad. There's this woman named Laura who worked for 72 hours straight, passed out during a work meeting, and when she woke up, she insisted that she was fine so that they could continue the meeting. Or there was this man named John who overworked himself for 20 years and it landed him in the hospital for 6 months. And after that, he got into a physical altercation with his son because he was fighting to get to his laptop so he could go back to work. Or the opening experience of the article from a woman named Maria. She said she was working so hard that she lost vision in one of her eyes. Now, as the article goes forward, we come back to Maria at the end and she talks about how she realized she had a problem and she took steps to alleviate it, but the damage had been done. Maria was now going blind in both eyes. It ends by her talking about how she's going to have to get used to that and learning to use a seeing eye dog. I mean, that's some tough stuff, man. Now, I never watched Saved by the Bell, not my generation, but I do know this one scene where the girl was like abusing caffeine pills because she had so much work to do. This scene almost makes me uncomfortable. It's sad. I found it to be kind of profound, and one of those sitcom moments that kind of sticks with you because it's showing the effects of overworking oneself, is what I would have said if I did not read the comment section under the clip. Is this supposed to be funny, or are you guys weird? Like, I can kind of see how this could be turned into a joke, but this is sad. Right? Or is it funny? I don't know. Like, these comments are so mean. They're kind of funny, but they're really mean, man. The following is going to be a completely unsatisfying side tangent with no real conclusion or solution. Why is it better to wake up at 5 a.m.? Look up motivational videos of any kind on YouTube. It'll mention getting up early. Look up getting up at 5 a.m. There's 1,000 videos on it. Why? If you're making the argument that it's a circadian thing and that you should get some sunlight on your skin so you can wake up and feel more refreshed, okay, yes. But also, the sun is famously not up at 4:30 in the morning, so let's put that argument aside for a sec. Then there's the more practical and realistic answer that it's geared towards a 9-to-5 lifestyle, where waking up at the butt crack of dawn does actually give you some benefits. You get some extra time to get some work done, you can maybe make breakfast, do a morning workout, beat the traffic. There's a lot of benefits. Okay, that makes sense. But for everyone else, why do they have to get up early? Because again, if you look up any motivational speaker with 20-inch forearms, they're all advocating waking up at ungodly hours and that doing anything else would be blasphemous heresy. But if you don't have to be up early in the morning, why should you have to wake up early in the morning? Like, I have class at 11. What's wrong in me going to sleep at 1, waking up at 9, going to class at 11? I can do the same amount of work. What's the problem? Because I looked this up. As far as I could tell in my very unofficial research, 8 hours of sleep is 8 hours of sleep. Whether that means 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. or 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., it's 8 hours. Sleep is sleep. So why is one of those sleep schedules considered inspirational and disciplined while the other one is seen as lazy and immature? In fact, after researching this video, I would argue that if you do have somewhere to be in the morning and you have the choice between waking up an hour early so you can do a workout or something and the choice of sleeping in a little bit longer to get your proper 8 hours, I would argue it is more productive to just get the sleep. Sometimes the more productive thing to do is to stay in bed longer and wake up later. That's what it seems to be. Also, it's such a stupidly obvious point, but I've never heard it really said. You cannot both stay up grinding into the night and also wake up early and grind. You can't do the two. That's just sleep deprivation. You have to pick one at most. And again, how productive are you being at 3 a.m.? I find that oftentimes when I'm doing that, I'm just staring at a screen. It's just a combination of numbers and letters. I'm not actually doing anything. And then at that point, it's like, why am I doing this? I am holding my brain hostage while it is begging me to go to sleep so I can impress the 0 people currently watching me right now so that they think I have a grind set mindset. Who are you doing this for? Stop doing that. Go to sleep. Sleep should not be viewed as a burden, and the 7 to 9 hours that should be allotted to sleep should not be seen as extra free time. Sleep is a necessary part of our health, and the more we treat it like a side quest, the worse quality of life we will have to suffer through. So if you're having trouble with losing weight or gaining muscle, or you're always in a bad mood, or you're constantly feeling drained, go to sleep! Am I saying that is 100% the only thing you need to do to fix all of your problems? Absolutely not. But I am saying this, it will be far easier to achieve them if you are well rested versus being sleep deprived. But as we discussed, just knowing that sleep is good is not good enough. We need to change our very understanding and relationship to sleep and time. I'm doing great today. Getting the right amount of sleep is only possible when we come to the unfortunate realization that there are literally only 24 hours in a day. And if you do not spend 7 to 8 of them doing the most boring thing imaginable, you'll be worse at practically every category of your life. Now that I'm 20 and reaching the end of my life, I'm starting to realize just how much more discipline is involved in everything you do. And I'm not talking about the discipline to try and get the cool car and the nice house and to be cool and have a bunch of money. I'm talking about the discipline to be a healthy and functioning individual. You want to eat a whole tub of ice cream? No, you can't because it's too much sugar. You want to stay out with your friends until 1 a.m.? No, you have a math quiz tomorrow. You want to stay up all night watching YouTube videos? No! You're an adult. Go to sleep. But I don't want to. When I was growing up, I used to think that adults did things the boring way because they simply had a deep internal desire to do things the most boring way imaginable. And now, again, that I'm dying and I'm 20 and old and gross, I realize now that adults don't do things like that because they enjoy them. They don't have 2 scoops of ice cream at a time and don't stay out past 10 p.m. when hanging out with friends and don't only watch an hour of television before bed because that's how they prefer to do things. They do things the boring way because that's the only way to be a functioning human being on a daily basis. I implore you, if you at all can adjust your schedule so as to better prioritize sleep, please do it. Keyword on if. I'm not even going to try to address people who genuinely need to work around the clock so that them and their children can eat every night. I'm not talking to you, and I'm not gonna suggest that all you need to do is like buy a planner and just better organize your day. It's really not that hard, people. Single parents, work harder. No, I'm not talking to you. I am talking to people like me who maybe take on just a little bit more than they reasonably should, and it's going to come back and hurt you in some amount of time. You cannot keep that up forever. You need to sleep. Please do that soon. Let's try an exercise. Go outside. I'm not joking. Take your phone, go outside. If you physically, by any means, if you can go, take your phone. Why are you still sitting down? Take your phone, go outside. If you can't go outside, go stare at a window. If you can't stare at a window, close your eyes and imagine being outside. If you can't do that, boom, stare into the black mirror. Go outside! Well, okay, hold on. I'll turn the light back on so we can take a minute and get in our assumed positions. How's your day going? Is it good? That's good. I have a Patreon now. Did you know that? It's cool. I like it. It's fun. All right, you there? All right, lights back off. Just look around and remember that your work will never be the summation of who you are as a person. Everything you've worked to achieve could figuratively or literally burn down. You don't really own anything. So take a moment to remember there is more to life than simply short-term pleasure and work. It's okay to not be the best. It's okay if you don't have the time to do every single thing you wanted to do. It's okay to take a break. It's okay. You're okay. Please, go to sleep. We made a deal. I gotta join.